My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. What I have for you all today is an outdoor news episode. And folks, I have some wild stories to share with you all. It is unbelievable what some people will do in the outdoors. I have two stories for you all, and both of them are bizarre. The first story comes from Japan. On April 22nd, this 27-year-old Chinese student, he began his climb of Mount Fuji. Even though it's the off-season, climbing is allowed. This individual begins his climb in the morning, but by early afternoon, he places an emergency call requesting a rescue operation. He is suffering from altitude sickness. Hour after hour, he climbed up this mountain. He made it to roughly 9,000 feet above sea level. That's when he began having issues. He was having a hard time breathing, he was disoriented, he had a headache, and he needed help. I should mention this, everybody, as this individual was hiking up the mountain, he was beginning to suffer from altitude sickness. He was a little bit confused, right? Which is typical with altitude sickness. He began losing some of the equipment that he had with him, such as his crampons. Just in case you do not know what crampons are, think of them as a traction device that goes on your shoes. It helps you walk on ice and so on. The funny thing is this, apparently this individual lost far more than his crampons, and what he lost plays a big role in this story. After a period of time, the search and rescue team arrives and they airlift him to a local hospital for treatment. 4 days later, on April the 26th, local authorities receive a call. A search and rescue operation is needed. There's a hiker who is suffering from altitude sickness. Where they have to go is the exact same location where they picked up that student. The person they're rescuing is the exact same person. The 27-year-old Chinese student made his way back to the mountain to the exact same place that he was rescued before, because he was looking for his cell phone and the other items that he lost. Again, this individual was suffering from altitude sickness, and this time it was worse. A fellow hiker found this guy laying on the ground, unable to move. Fortunately for this student, that individual made a call and saved this guy's life. You should know, everybody, for search and rescue operations at Mount Fuji, there's no penalties for such operations. And this has really upset the local population, the local communities in this area. The resources that were used for both of his search and rescue operations, his 2 airlifts off that mountain to the hospital, are fully covered by those communities. Currently, there are talks in Japan about changing the rules and the laws to punish individuals like this. You have to keep in mind, everyone, this individual was going back for his phone. He put his life in danger. He also put the lives of the search and rescue teams at danger. At the same time, he was wasting the community's money and resources. And he didn't think twice. All he was thinking about was getting his cell phone, which is unbelievable. The Japanese people who make up these communities have every right to be angry. The first rescue is somewhat understandable. He was making an attempt, things didn't go right, accidents happen. The second time is unbelievable to just about everyone, and I'm sure including you. While the figures have not been released, it is estimated that each rescue could have cost as much as $13,000, all of which goes on the shoulders of Japanese taxpayers, which is completely unfair. When I was first reading about this story, what caught my attention was the age of the student. 27 years old, right? He's a man. But yet, this guy is making the poorest, dumbest decisions. I can't imagine what his future is going to be like. At 27 years old, you should know better. Being 27 years old and having no common sense, that's rough. Something else that I found interesting about this story when researching it and whatnot, getting all the details straight, is how many articles were talking about the need of being prepared. I speak about this all the time. It is super important that you're prepared for the adventure that you're going out on. But there is another angle that should be spoken about in these articles, if not in the headlines. There should be punishments that go hand in hand for people who are being irresponsible and reckless. Those who are putting their lives and other people's lives in danger. Being rescued because of an accident is completely understandable, but going back for your cell phone and creating a dangerous situation for all, that's not okay. We see this time and time again. Actions like this are due to a lack of repercussions. A lack of repercussions for one's actions, one's decisions, and also a lack of punishment. It's no different than raising a child. When there's no repercussions for poor decisions will be made over and over and over again. In cities where laws are not enforced, crime is off the charts. Why? Because there's no repercussions. That takes us back to the point which I've already stated in regards to there's a growing call around the world to punish those who venture out into the outdoors They cause these situations because they're being reckless. Common sense is fading these days, and you can see that in every aspect of our lives. And it's because lessons are not being taught. They're not being taught. People are not being punished, and to be frank, a lot of people simply do not care. With that being said, though, there are some exceptions, namely here in the United States. There are some states who have begun implementing penalties and also criminal charges against those who go out and they're reckless. And this needs to be done. There's not a single search and rescue operator out there who says what's taking place today is okay. If someone's being reckless, they're putting others in danger, they're wasting resources, they simply do not care. A punishment needs to be received. In the very least, they need to be fined and they have to pay for those search and rescue operations. Let's take New Hampshire for an example. This is a state that will openly punish and also criminally charge, which is a fantastic idea. There's a story that's breaking right now involving a hiker who went up on top of some mountain completely unprepared. A major search and rescue operation had to be launched to find this person, and they are being charged for the entire operation, which ultimately will be very, very expensive. They will be responsible for all of those fees, those fines, and they may be charged criminally. At least with New Hampshire, they're trying to teach people a lesson. They have to, because they're spending so much money. I've reported on this before. We're talking about like $500,000 a year for search and rescue operations from hiking trails, with oftentimes people being irresponsible. And with that, my friends, it is time to move on to the next story. This one hits close to home because it involves a man from North Carolina. So check this out, everyone. On April the 28th of 2025, a man reported to local authorities that he had fallen from a 25-foot ledge and he was seriously injured. This spawned a major search and rescue operation involving numerous agencies to find this man, to pull him out, and to get him to safety so that he can get the medical care that he needed. This man is from North Carolina. The event that took place in Virginia at a place that I've never heard of before. It's called Fairy Stone State Park. Anyways, the search and rescue operation was initiated. A ton of different agencies were involved. This was a complex rescue to get to the location that he claimed to be at. Sometime later, search and rescue was able to locate the individual. They put him on a stretcher and they took him to a local hospital. From there, they began caring for the patient, taking care of his needs and injuries. Surprisingly enough, they found no injuries at all. The man had no cuts, no scrapes, bruises, broken bones, pulled muscles, nothing. He was absolutely fine. Because of this, local law enforcement was involved. They began an investigation, and shortly afterwards, he admitted to fabricating the entire thing. The man made up the entire event for fun. For absolute fun, for no reason. He didn't receive any pain medication, nothing like that. It was all for nothing. The guy is just flat out crazy, apparently, or he's a huge jerk. Who knows? Ultimately, the authorities discovered that this man has a long history of pulling the exact same thing. It's not clear exactly how many times he has done this or where he's done this at or what the purpose is, but they were able to uncover that he's done this numerous times. In other words, he is a serial offender. Luckily, in the state of Virginia, filing a fake report equates to obstruction of justice. Hopefully something's done that teaches this man a lesson or gets him the help that he needs. Everyone, these stories are so crazy, it's almost unbelievable. How can people be so weird? How can they be so silly? I don't know. It just makes no sense to me at all. Every couple of weeks, I report some story that I shouldn't be reporting on because the events are so goofy. I mean, here we have somebody who went back for a cell phone, had to be rescued twice, airlifted twice. We have a guy from North Carolina faking falls for no reason. We've talked about people going mountain climbing in Crocs. It's all funny and amusing, but at the same time, not. It's also very concerning. And I think it does all go back to that new systems need to be implemented, right? An accident is an accident. Everything else needs to be considered as far as a punishment goes, penalties go. Again, there's not a search and rescue operator out there who is going to disagree with that. We're seeing an increase of these type of events. Reckless behavior, people putting others at risk, wasting community resources. None of it's okay. Not at all. Everyone, I've done enough talking. Now it's your turn. Comment down below. Share your thoughts. What do you all think about these stories? They are so bizarre. So bizarre. It's just unbelievable what people will do. I would love to know your thoughts concerning common sense, or I should say the lack of common sense these days. A big thank you goes out to all of the viewers who made this episode possible. Every single news story that I share comes from you all. Make sure to keep the stories coming because they certainly are entertaining. Oftentimes tragic, but entertaining nonetheless. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Until next time, take care, be well, strength and honor. Bye for now.